This is Doc Martin, DJ and producer and label boss of Sublevel Music out of California, and you are listening to the Liverpool Connection Podcast, music and football episodes.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Liverpool Connection Podcast. I'm your host Daz. This is my music and football episode where I usually bring on a guest who likes music and football. Today's guest, it's going to be more about music. He does have a little football story, but I cannot wait to introduce this guest. He is label boss at Sublevel Records. He is probably one of the granddaddies of US house music, and probably one of the granddaddies all over the world now. I've known my next guest for a very long time. I've listened to his sets, I've bought his records, bought his CDs. It's an absolute privilege of mine because I kind of got the best of both worlds, being from Liverpool and being able to grow up in the rave scene there, but then also come over to the States in the 2000s, which, you know, was basically, I think, the golden age of rave over in the US. But I'm so happy to welcome Mr. Doc Martin. Doc,
Hey.
like I said, absolute privilege to have you.
Thanks.
You know, you have been around for a very, very, very long time.
Yeah.
But you know, you're still with a smile on your face. I mean,
Yeah.
and I think that tells the tale of how much you love what you do, how much you love house music. Let's get into the little story you were gonna tell me, because Doc was in Liverpool quite a long time ago. You were doing a few gigs at Cream, right?
I was a resident, actually. They were doing all my bookings at the time at Cream. So I would stay a block away at Phil Collins' studio. He had a hotel studio there. And I would stay there. It was literally like 25 quid a night. It's really, and you get to work in Phil Collins' studio. So there you go. It was quite an amazing time. And then my friends lived across from 3 Beat on Parr Street, so we would hear garlands every Sunday morning going off. It was kind of a mental time, definitely.
Yeah, watching people walk out of garlands is just a bit in itself.
Stumbling. Yeah.
What's your thoughts on you know? I mean, for me, you know, I'm from the area. I mean, just Liverpool, like musically, you know, back then and now, it's just it's embedded in the culture.
Yeah. Well, when I first started coming to England was 1992. My first gig was at Ministry of Sound, and then I came to Cream for a night that Back to Basics was hosting. And like 4 songs in, Darren and crew were like, "Yeah, you're coming with us." I was like, "Okay." And one of my best friends, John Kelly, who is another veteran from Liverpool, I'd stay with him. I'd come like 3 to 4 months a year. I was in England and touring Europe. So yeah, Liverpool was home base. So yeah, a lot of great memories there for sure.
Have you been back?
Haven't been back to Liverpool. I came for Circus a while back for Yosef, and that was the last time, to be honest.
Oh wow, yeah, that's
Yeah,
got to be because I mean that's the great thing too about Yosef is he brought a lot of US DJs over that would never have played there.
yeah,
Josie,
yeah,
no, so I loved Cream because obviously the annex was for the big boys, you know,
oh yeah,
big sound, but you know, Yosef's room was just where I
yeah,
go, just because
yeah,
you know there's room to dance, and that's what you know. That's what it's about. That's why it's called dance music. You know,
yeah,
dance.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Um, I played the main room quite a bit. I did the annex a lot less, to be honest, which is kind of interesting because you would think it would be the other way around. And then when they opened the outdoors with Oakenfold and Carl and everybody, it just was, a 3-ring circus and crazy at that time. But watching that city from the first time I came there, shoot right into club culture. Places like that, and even places like Gatecrasher and other cities up north were just blowing up, and it was insane. Like the energy in London was a lot different, and I would say like Manchester and all that was a lot more mental and just people having it like crazy. And that was where you went if you really wanted the full on energy. You would just get that raw energy on the dance floor, and that to me was amazing. That's probably why I picked Liverpool as a home base, to be honest. Just the
Well, I,
city was
I
buzzing.
I think with London, and no disrespect, I mean,
None.
a lot of the clubs were great, but there was more, I think, like a close policy
Hmm.
than the Northwest.
Not to say that it wasn't going crazy in London either at that time, but there were things on Sundays like Full Circle where you would see Carl Cox and Green Velvet playing for 150 people or something, and it just had its own energy as well, which was good. You got two sides of the coin there, and yeah, can't say enough good things about England.
Well, you've got to say good things because
Yeah.
you keep getting booked.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, and the last party that I remember really going for, I did a junior boys own party about 2 years ago, and that was pretty amazing as well in London, underneath a pub, and it was like 600, 700 people crammed in this area. It was full on.
I love Terry Farley. I
Yeah,
just adore him. Not only is he just an amazing human being, he puts out great records and his parties.
yeah,
What I mean about house music, it's just
yeah,
straight from here. And
yeah,
the 700-800 people that are going there,
yeah,
the music and what's coming out the speakers. I mean,
yeah,
yes, the 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 name of the DJ helps to sell the night,
yeah,
but they go because they trust Terry and the book
yes,
parties, and that's what it's about. And I think sometimes we've kind of gotten away from that.
oh
Is
yeah,
the soul of the party, and
hmm,
we're making it more about the DJ, the entertainer. And I don't know if you heard like the David Guetta little interview where, I mean, thank God he's come out and gone, I'm not a DJ anymore. I'm an entertainer. And
yeah,
and that's honesty because there's a fine line now, where DJs are the spectacle.
yeah,
And
yeah,
there's a whole 3D, imagery behind them that to me kind of takes away from the music.
oh yeah.
Busy watching what's going on behind, and to me, it's always will be about the music.
Yeah, 100%. And as of now, a lot of us may be in the minority, but it always comes around. So he
Mm.
swings and roundabouts, and I think it will again as well. I've seen, I'm sure as you have, like thousands of DJs come up and rise to the top for 6, 8 months, and then they're gone. You don't hear from them again. So you have to give respect to like the Sashas and the John Digweeds and Carl Coxes, the people who have been able to maintain like 30 plus years and still deliver it. It all comes down to their music, and what they portray to the crowd as well. You don't see them jumping around and fan dancing and
Yeah,
fireworks and all that.
yeah. I saw Sasha and Digweed last month in Dallas.
Ah,
I hadn't seen them in a long time. I've got four little girls, so I don't go out as
right,
much
right.
as I'd like. But it was just again watching two masters at work.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
they don't need to throw their hands up in the air. You know, John, as
yeah,
he's so focused.
yeah,
Sometimes people will go, why doesn't he look at the crowd every now and again?
yeah,
But he's just, to me, like he's driving a plane. He's
yeah,
just so focused on that. And just to look out and see, 5,000 people just going off. It's
yeah,
just, it brought me back to the days, of going to warehouse parties where it was just, doesn't matter what you wear, you're going to sweat anyway. You could wear Gucci,
Yeah.
you could wear a bin bag, and but you're there
Yeah.
for the music, and who cares? So, yeah, it kind of reinvigorated me,
Yeah.
to go out a few more times
Give it
before my kids turn into teenagers and make me go
yeah.
absolutely crazy. So,
Yeah.
but Doc, I want to take it back to your roots in music. I know your mum was heavily into music.
Yeah.
Did that have an influence on you, like in your musical path early on?
Oh, definitely. I mean, growing up in San Francisco, it was a melting pot for everything. And even friends, I had a friend of us from Jamaica, and we go to his house, and they'd be playing ska and Trojan records and the Wailers, and I got a good education and roots and stuff through that. And then my mom was a very big into Motown and Northern Soul, I guess you would call it over there, and that was a good roots. And my cousins were into disco through that era and rock, and like my cousin turned me on to things like the Buzzcocks and things like that in America that people didn't really know about, but he was just always bringing these records from England and Germany, and I'm like, this is so weird, but it's cool, and just these people really don't. They're just kind of screaming into a mic, but it makes sense with the music. It's you could feel the aggression and stuff. I listened to the Sex Pistols for the first time. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. And then
Well, I
through
mean,
the '80s,
as
sorry,
a kid, we we don't just listen to happy music.
no,
I mean, for me, we had Top of the Pops.
yeah,
I guess it's kind of like was it American Bandstand?
yeah, Solid Gold, all that, yeah,
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 a little bit cheesy, but I got
yeah,
caught up on that, and not every day of my life is happy. So
yeah,
the Joy Divisions of this world,
oh yeah,
Skulls, the Jam
yeah,
had something to say. You
yeah,
start
yeah,
to listen to lyrics, and obviously it seems like you did that because it doesn't matter where you're from in the world, as long as you can kind of understand and grasp what that artist is
yeah,
saying, then it's fine.
yeah. It's
So
that relation thing that happens when you listen to certain groups, and then yeah, when hip hop came in, that was a game changer for me. So with all those different types of music influencing myself as I was growing up, I try to put that in my DJing as well, because not everything has to be daffodils and butterflies when you're playing either. It's okay to put messages across and to reach people. And right now there's a big movement of people saying, well, DJ shouldn't be political, DJ shouldn't do this, that, but it's always been about that. It's never been about sitting on the sidelines.
well, I think DJs have a platform
Yeah,
just like actors have a platform. When they win something, you hear them on the microphone.
yeah,
No, but then other people go, "Oh, sit down. You're just an actor." But
yeah,
they're human beings as well, and
yeah,
especially like what's going on in the world. I think a few more people need to stand up and you know
yeah,
say what they mean. Like stop this like
yeah,
hiding, so to speak, behind a persona. You know, uh,
yeah.
but not to get too political. Uh,
Okay. Yeah.
well, no, I try and keep it like I mean, I had Neil Barnes on left field.
Oh, nice.
Which again, just one of those
Yeah,
moments. This is one of those moments as well. But
yeah, yeah.
to have you all in the space of a month has just made my whole year. But
Uh,
Neil is very passionate about the Free Palestine, and
hmm
he had put it up on his Instagram, and people were berating him, going, "Why don't you just stick to putting left field music up?" And that
Yeah,
really got to me, and I commented like, "This is his Instagram. He can say
yeah,
what he wants," and
yeah,
I just don't understand that. I think we love technology, right? The
yeah,
social media as- aspect of what's going on. It's easy to hide behind a keyboard and say
yeah,
whatever you want and be mean. And I think that needs to be taken out. I don't like it, and I somewhat fear for my children because they're already asking me for phones, and they're only I've got a
Oh boy.
10-year-old, two 9-year-olds, and a seven. Now
Right.
you will not get a phone until like in your 20s.
Yeah.
It's just I want to protect them, but you know, as you say with the buzzcocks, I mean, music just it's a feeling.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, when you play your sets as well, it's I mean your early sets like okay with San Francisco, I mean so much was coming out like Hard Kiss Brothers, Dub
Oh yeah.
the Wicked Crew,
Yeah.
And Garth. I mean, it was so like, and you had the psychedelic side as well, because you
Yeah.
were early, right? So you saw the
Yeah.
start of the San Francisco kind of.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I was there for it. It's a correlation of artists getting together and just people were reflecting what the scene was like there because on the West Coast, we really this is before the internet, so we really had no connection to New York, Chicago, even London. We had a little 8-page mix mag at that time that would once in a while get through, and at the record stores, and we kind of see what's happening. So we kind of made it up as we went along, to be honest. And we used 80s records as well, and stuff like Section 25 and all that was really big in the clubs before Acid House. And when that acid house came, I kind of stumbled onto it by mistake, to be honest. It just sounded to me like a new wave record with less vocals and more repetitiveness and few more futuristic sounding keyboards. And I loved all that. And the quick story was someone was playing a white label of French Kiss at one of the record stores, and the owner's like, "This is awful. It doesn't do anything." And I turn around and say, "I'll take every record that sounds like this," And that's how we kind of stumbled into it. To be honest, we didn't even know it was called house music or acid or any of it. It was just like these records are really dope, but this label Trax makes really shitty sounding records, but they're good, and quality wise, not music wise. And then a lot of us thought all these artists from Chicago were from England because FFRR and other labels were putting them out through England. So we're like, oh, wow, England. Well, these guys are really crazily talented over here. And then England came through with their things. And I met people like Adamski very early on, Guru Josh, playing with 808 State and such like that, and it just kind of, when you get people that are like-minded from all over the world together, it's kind of a really powerful thing.
Well, it just seemed like San Francisco scene it wasn't competition.
No.
They came as one, like to
Yeah.
create a vibe, and that's what I got when I went there, like mid to mid 90s.
Yeah.
Just enjoyed myself. Everybody
Yeah.
was, hello, how you doing? Where you from, all that good stuff,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think again, times have changed. It's more cutthroat now. There's this, we've got a one up you competition kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and I always don't like to come back and kind of go, it was better in my day. Kind of, I don't want to be that old
No, of
that
course
says
not.
it because at the moment the kids are having fun. They're doing that.
Exactly.
Whether I like some of the styles, who cares? As long as they like,
Yeah.
as long as they're
Yeah.
partying responsibly. But yeah, it just seemed like the San Francisco scene just was so connected together as one.
Yeah.
Why did you feel like the move to LA was gonna? Was that more just for to change direction in your life, or was it to enhance like your DJing?
Well, at the time in San Francisco, I'd literally done everything I could do.
Mhm.
I was DJing everything from underground clubs to go TA parties. And, I just thought there was nowhere to go but down at that point. I could have stayed and been a really big fish in a smaller pond, or I just kind of knew if I went to LA and things caught on there and it popped, I had a feeling the whole country would pop as well and it would go off. And it kind of happened that way. There was a lot of things that happened in my favor as well. Um, But it's not like I stopped playing in San Francisco. I still play 4 or 5 times a year there. I would be up in San Francisco actually more at times than in LA. But there was a magazine called Herb that did a cover story on me because back then it was unheard of for DJs to move around. No one traveled to play anywhere, and they kind of blew it up. They were like one of the first national magazines in the U.S. for dance music, and they covered hip hop and jazz and house and techno and raves and everything. And that kind of got me going. And I'd already DJ'd for this band called Delight before that for their West Coast tours, and they put me on a national tour on a bus with them. We did like I don't know 40 cities in a month and a half or something crazy like that. It was every night, and I got to see the whole country, and I got exposed to the whole country. And then came New York. I'm just going to go this really quickly so I can get through. Where a DJ named Kyoki put me on at Save the Robots and at the Limelight for Disco 2000, which was just a whole other world from what I was used to. And during the new music seminar, some crazy British guy was playing Save the Robots. The booth was literally like this much. You can get your head into the window to see the DJ. This guy's, hey, mate, you want to? And I'm like, what the hell did he just say? And he's like, you want to come to Leeds? And I'm like, Leeds? I had never even heard of Leeds before. And it was Dave Beer. And he happened to be with Jim Masters and a bunch. I didn't know who these people were in the English scene. These guys all kind of ran. Charlie Chester, like, all kind of ran it. And so my first tour, not knowing anything, was like Ministry of Sound, Back to Basics, Fun in Birmingham at that time, and Full Circle, and all these clubs that I guess really at that time meant something. And I was just having the time of my life. You know, I'm in England, you know, sleeping on someone's couch for very little money, but loving every minute of it, you know? So, yeah, there you go.
Well, let me tell you, like I've had Dave on, and I'm a Scouser, and I still can't understand it.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got a proper Yorkshire,
Yeah.
Leeds accent. I mean, he's
Yeah.
absolutely brilliant. Just a good soul.
Yeah.
So, being in LA, how did the Glam Slam Club come about?
Oh boy. Okay, so Glam Slam was a club. They used to do I'm trying to think which show was that. It was a TV show there, and you have people like Chubb Rock come, or Diana Ross or whoever, and come perform. Prince took it over, and they were looking for kind of an after hours thing. And I was probably the wrong person to pick because I think they were thinking more of a clubby after hours with commercial music where people could go. And I brought in this whole underground element. And I don't know. I think he actually hated me, to be honest, my music, because, he'd show up with his friends, sit in the little VIP next to the DJ booth or wherever we sat up. And sometimes I would set up in the middle of the dance floor and he'd piss him off because it wasn't that whole glam thing. It was just people going mental around you. But it was doing really well. So at the same time, the people running the club were like, no, 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 we can't get rid of him. This is doing really well. And it was like a meeting place for about a year. And I brought in the Merc Boys the first few times to LA. Roger Sanchez played there. I had Elias play there, and just what I could do on my budget. I had booked bands before in San Francisco. My first show ever was Master C&J with Liz Torres. It was the first show I ever booked in my life. And then Inner City multiple times, Delight, obviously, and then Soul Sonic Force. And, so I knew how to kind of book bands. I wasn't really professional in it, but I could get people over to come play, get their money, get them a hotel, get them to their plane and all that, Now it's a whole different game, obviously. So
Do you like curating a night?
I do actually, if I can control the flow of the night, which is great. And sometimes I'll even open for the guest and then play after them if that needs to happen, just to make sure they come into the right atmosphere, a nice dance floor going, but it's not too over the top, and yeah, they appreciate that.
Well, I think a lot of people, especially kids nowadays, they want to play the bangers.
Yeah.
And to me, there's only certain DJs that have really nailed opening sets. Danny Howells, to me.
Oh, yeah.
He opened for Digweed so many times, and he just learned how to control a room. And and you do it as well perfectly. It's just I can count, on my fingers, like who can really go from like 9 o'clock at night till the headliner comes on
Hmm.
and just carry the room with enough energy for the
Yeah.
headliner to step up and do that. And I just think these days is curating a night kind of goes out the window. It's more like let's just get the punters in, with top DJs. I understand that, but not everything's always about money.
Exactly. And if you can curate a night and run your nights properly, you will make money as well. But, it doesn't have to be over the top from the first song out. And yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like local clubs, especially in the UK,
Yeah.
they're shutting down because
Yeah.
a lot of the kids would rather go to a festival where they pay,
Yeah.
£200 and they get to see 20, 30 DJs play 1 hour each.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, to me, a DJ, at least the minimum 2 hours.
Yeah. I mean, you could definitely get the message across in that. The festival thing, I think, is cool in a way because you are paying a lot more money, and it is hurting kind of the local scene a lot. But if you can see 20 or 30 of your DJs, my problem with it is they only give them an hour because they only feel like they just want you to go bang it out. Next person comes, play all the bangers, and so that's why you get a lot of standing around going on between breakdowns, and uh, some of the best festivals I've done, like even in Costa Rica, I've played 6, 7 hours in the morning for 4 to 6,000 people, and they're in it. Watching Ricardo at Amnesia play 6, 7 hours in that room and hold it together, really hold it together, like in a way where you don't even realize the time has flown by. Those are I think to me, that's like true mastery to do
Yeah.
that, especially in
Well,
today's climate with how things are.
oh yeah, definitely. I mean, like Stereo Montreal,
Yeah.
they give their DJs what 10, 12 hours.
Yeah. Yeah. You
Uh,
can go in.
and I know the cliche is, I want to take the listener on a journey. Some people will laugh at that, but I mean
Yeah.
that's what a true DJ wants to do. There's troughs, there's peaks.
Yeah.
That's what they want, and I just don't understand the 1 hour sets. Bam, 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 you're off onto the next one. That's why a lot of DJs can play like in 3, 4 different cities or
Yeah.
even countries. As soon as you're finished, you get
Yeah.
a taxi or private car. You're on a flight. You're in another country playing for an hour
Yeah.
again. It's just again obviously you're making money from the gigs because you don't make your money from selling records now. you know so it's the gigs that kind of
Yeah.
get you where you want to be. I want to talk about you like I know you like Fabric. uh
Yeah. Obviously, as a resident there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's just an incredible club. I first saw um it's just great to go down, those long steps
Yeah.
for the first time. And I saw David Alvarado and Tom Middleton play the main room. And nobody had told me about the bass under the floor.
Oh, yeah. The
Oh,
subsonic dance floor.
yeah,
Yeah.
Sonic Dance Floor, and I thought something was wrong with me. I actually told me mates like, "What's going on? I'm shaking." They're like, "It's a Sonic Dance Floor, you idiot."
Yeah. Yeah.
Wait, what? It was one of the best nights. I mean, obviously seeing Tom and David do their thing,
Yeah.
and you being a resident, it's
Yeah.
just gone from strength to strength. They know how to curate nights.
Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, Craig has a lot to do with, especially in the early days when Keith was the owner. They really sought out their guests and stuff. And what I really respect about Fabric is the fact they picked two DJs they really believed in over these people will fill the room, in the beginning.
Mhm.
And they've gone to do great things. Craig with Houghton Festival, that's just like so next level compared to many festivals I've been to or played at. And it's like you said, like going to a faith party with 700 people. This is like 13,000 people, and everyone's like family, and that to me is quite a feat, especially these days. And Fabric, God, yeah, every room buzzing, completely.
Yeah,
It
you got
was,
drum and bass in one room,
yeah,
your house in another, tech house, proper tech
yeah,
house, by the way.
yeah,
The tech,
yeah,
not some of the tech house at Beatport or whoever comes up. I
yeah.
swear, Doc, like I've told this quite a few times. I believe there's somebody that works for Beatport and he lives in a basement and his job is to just come up with genres, new genres, to go on Beatport. It, it's
Well,
it's just bizarre some of the genres that are
yeah.
coming up these days.
Yeah, of course. But I mean, also they're like a business as well, so that's why you have to have a top 100 all the time, and they're constantly putting things into their charts. Doesn't mean they're great. It just means they're keeping the machine going. And if I look at their charts now, there's records like Armand Van Helden. You don't know me still in the chart because they've had a resurgence or something, and yeah, I don't really shop there as much. Only if it's something older I really want to get, and then I'll probably go there if I can't find it anywhere else, type of thing. But been ripping a lot of records lately, to be honest. And playing that stuff out, and that seems to get a really great response because it's something people can't Shazam or can't figure out or what have you. And I have some very good friends that make a lot of awesome music, so a lot of it's unreleased as well. So it kind of gives you an advantage of sorts, but you're not playing songs people know either. So it's a double-edged sword there.
Well, I've noticed like you've been doing a couple of vinyl only sets, which
Yeah,
which is great to see. Again, some kids might go, "What are those things?"
yeah. I never stop buying records. I still buy records, especially when I go to Europe. It's just shipping so dear right now. It's more than the record sometimes. So when I'm in Europe, which a few times a year now, I go full on to knee deep, and find stuff out there.
Well, there's nothing better, I think, than going to a record shop. You know, I had Three Beat, obviously,
Oh God, yeah,
and then Eastern Bloc in Manchester.
yeah,
You just lose yourself in there.
oh yeah,
I would annoy some of the sellers
yeah,
because I'd be in there 5, 6 hours and I'd walk out with like one or two tracks. It's
yeah,
because I'm searching for something that most people don't have. Go down the rabbit hole, and
yeah,
that's why I love Bandcamp because I
yeah,
found so many different artists that I would never have heard of. But I mean, as you know, like the record shop back in the day was the meeting place for
yeah,
like-minded people, and I think we've kind of lost that when we're buying stuff online. It seems very soulless to me to click a
yeah,
button, listen to a track for 10 seconds, click a button, it's in your plat,
yeah.
you buy it, you move on. But we all know back in the day, you're listening to the music in the shop, but you're also talking to a human being.
Oh yeah,
That connection, I think, has been lost.
yeah. Also, the DJs are bouncing off this one copy of a record that he's playing for you, and then everyone goes, "What is that?" You're like, "Oh, I'll take it." It's just, especially, I mean, London. I would go to Tag Records quite a bit, Black Market, Vinyl Junkies. I did the rounds, and I would have to bring an empty crate of records, like an empty crate, because I would fill it up by the end of even a 2 or 3 week trip. Three Beat, they used to hold all kinds of records. Robin there would hold. I'm coming over in 2 weeks. He would just have a stack ready as soon as I got there, and I made friends with all those guys, hung out with them quite a bit. Like the Paul and Paul and all them. Par Street Studios did a record for Siesta out of there. They're the boys, and they always looked after me, especially in Liverpool, which was a pretty amazing time then.
Yeah, they're good people. It's just,
Yeah,
I mean, it's nice to to walk into a shop and, there's records already ready for you. You know,
Yeah.
they know you that well. I mean, obviously there's going to be a couple in there that you're going to go, I'm
Oh
not.
yeah.
But then you flip it, and then the B side
Yeah.
is something that you like. I mean, I just miss those days. I mean, obviously especially in the States,
Yeah.
less and less record shops.
Yeah. I mean, when I started, I would fly to New York every 3 or 4 months just to buy records and go to clubs, soak up the atmosphere, see what's going on, and try to bring some of that energy back to the West Coast. Joe Costello used to sell me records at dance tracks, and he's always been like really cool with me. He's one of those guys that just really cares about the music and portraying himself that way. And just meeting all these producers in there and just seeing the energy around that, a record store with a great sound system. I mean, it was like being in a club. So every record sounded great, which means you probably brought home a few duds, you know. When I was doing my residency at Twilo in New York, I'd be in there every Friday before, and just going crazy, looking for records for the night to play. And it was kind of a feeding frenzy, like your shoe collection there. you
Mhm.
know.
I mean, again, you've played some iconic clubs. I'm gonna put you on the spot.
Oh
What?
boy.
Yeah. What's your top three
Oh man.
clubs that you've played?
Oh boy. Okay. I did the Sound Factory back in the day with Louis Vega and Danny Tanega. Sound Factory's in the top three clubs. I got to do it with Delight on our tour as well. With Sasha, his first time in New York, he played Todd Terry. Just the sound system in there was fully phenomenal and tuned. When I was doing Twilo, I'd have to stay after at 10 in the morning and go through all the speakers with the sound guy to make sure nothing got blown and all that. It's very meticulous. Yellow in Tokyo would be definitely. I've had many great nights in there, and when they're supposed to close at 5, it's all of a sudden 10 in the morning. We're still there, and people are one more. And just the vibe, and the energy, and the people in Japan is just incredible. Oof, so many. God, they're all flying through. Even gosh, that's really tough. Um, I would say the first time I played Ibiza actually was what's Universe now. It was called Coup,
Hmm.
and I did it for Cream, and they brought me up the back way, so I saw the small room. Like, oh, this is nice. This is good. And you go, no, 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 you're over here. And when I got in the booth and looked over to the crowd, I almost, pissed myself, so to speak, because there's 7, 8 thousand people on a dance floor, and everyone's like, okay, who's next? Give it to us. And then they had that like 75-foot glass, the sun would come in the pool and all that. It was just quite an amazing experience just to be part of that, you know. Cream, of course, the first time I didn't, well, you get four, sorry. was I didn't know what to expect with Liverpool, It was just like some craziness, some other world. And
Lots of craziness in Liverpool.
yeah, we just continued, and with being friends with John Kelly as well, they call him the madman there, And so even though really great friend, and he showed me everything there was to know about Liverpool.
Oh, the seedy side.
Yeah, even like, toilets in certain pubs, how they were all like just everything. This is the best place to get fish and chips. This is where you go for Indian. This is what you do here. Clothing is on this street here, what the liver bird was all about, and just learning, the ins and outs of the city was pretty cool as well.
Well, I think that's what you need. When you go to a new city, you need somebody that's really gonna show you like everything. Like a lot of people that come to England, they go to London. That's it, to see
Yeah.
Buckingham Palace, to see Parliament, and all
Yeah.
that. They don't really see the real England.
Mm.
And I think so. I mean, any Scouser will show you, you know, the
Yeah.
seedy part of Liverpool, just because that's the part of Liverpool that, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
the characters there are just,
Yeah.
I know one fella who has been at the same pub for 50 years. his seat's worn, and he sits right at the end. But he's a character, and that'll hopefully continue with another character.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Yeah.
that's
I mean,
that's how life is. That's how you get
yeah.
great stories.
Yeah. And then I learned about the rivalry with Everton as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Like, I didn't realize how serious, because sports in the US, yeah, people take them very serious, buy the jerseys, put the bumper stickers, go to the, and there's sometimes a few fights here and there, but in England, it's a whole different, like, football is life, you know?
It's tribal.
Yeah, yeah,
Very tribal. I mean, the worst was probably the 70s and 80s,
yeah,
with football
yeah,
hooliganism. It was really bad. It's gotten a lot better. Uh,
yeah,
there's not as much fighting going on, and
yeah,
most of it's from like 55-year-old fat bald men, that have never grown up,
yeah,
and
yeah,
they've got like 18-year-old kids looking up at them.
yeah.
But yeah, the rivalry. I've got a couple of cousins that are Evertonians, and I barely talk to them.
Ooh.
They're so
Ooh.
bitter. Yeah, they just complain so much.
Yeah, moaners.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I guess it's like, Mets fans with the Yankees. I would say kind of that, because, the Yankees
Yeah,
have won everything. The
yeah,
Mets won, what, a couple of World Series, to the
yeah.
Yankees won a lot. So yeah, it's there. But can I ask you, do you still get nervous when you play?
It can happen because sometimes I get put in situations that aren't ideal, you know. I did a festival in Alaska of all places. They put me between two dubstep DJs, but it was fine. We worked it out, you know, and sometimes promoters get the idea to let's shake things up a bit, you know, and you just have to deal with it on the spot. I'll tell you when I was really nervous was when I started playing vinyl gigs again. I would literally be like this with the needle playing the first record, but now it's all second nature, and it's you just have to get back into that flow of how records go as opposed to downloads and uh, CDJs and all that. But not so much anymore. I kind of keep calm. There's times you'll come on and there'll be six people on the floor, and it's like midnight at a festival. The guys played way too hard before you, and you're like, "Huh, okay, well, there goes nothing, and let's give it a shot and see how it goes from there." But yeah, so ebb and
Yeah.
flows. Nothing too serious as of late.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's, I think once you see one person in the crowd smiling and dancing,
Yeah,
you just lock on to that person. But
yeah,
I had this conversation too, like, I don't know who told me this. Oh, it was Neil from left field. He said he locks on to the person that's not dancing,
yeah.
as opposed
Wow.
to, the thousands that are dancing. He locks on to that one person going, "Why aren't you dancing?
Yeah, yeah.
Why are you checking your phone?" You know, that's not, it's got to be strange.
That happens as well, and you're like, all right, I'm gonna turn this person, and sometimes it happens, and you're like, yeah, mission accomplished. We as musicians, DJs, whatever, tend to focus on the one negative comment over the 10,000 positive ones. So it's kind of a thing like that. I mean, back to the football thing, so something I didn't want. It seemed like Acid House kind of dispelled all that hooliganism in a way, and people from rival teams with their arms around each other, at raves, and this what I was talking to Mr. C about this actually, and he had mentioned we had talked about this in depth actually, how Acid House kind of saved a lot of things in Europe and England and other places.
Well, ecstasy, it's safe.
Well, yeah,
You, without ecstasy, though, you wouldn't have a Millwall fan
yeah,
hugging a Chelsea supporter or a Tottenham supporter.
yeah, yeah,
Liverpool, Everton, it did enhance it. I mean,
yeah,
that's the thing. I think a lot of people just think like acid house, like, but
yeah,
it was everything. It was the music,
yeah,
it was the drugs, it was just what was going on with Thatcherism at the time.
yeah,
And
yeah,
everybody just brought the music. came first. A
Yeah.
lot of people say a lot of people wouldn't have gotten into acid house music without the drugs. I kind of disagree. I think
Yeah, I do too.
it was the right time for that type of
Yeah.
music, and it was totally different from anything chart related. And I think
Yeah.
a lot of people like myself needed something like that. Like when I first heard Voodoo Ray, I was like, "What is this?"
Yeah.
It's like bleep blop, bleep blop, bleep blop. I
Yeah.
understand it the first couple of times, and then you start listening to it, and you put the headphones on and you hear little things that pop out at you, and you're like, oh wow,
Yeah.
it's making sense now.
Yeah.
808 State came along as well and just blew my mind. Orbital, you know the,
Yeah.
the, the rest, as they say, is history. Want to talk about Sublevel? That's your
Yeah.
baby. Why? I mean, because as a DJ, as a producer, you're making tracks, and they're getting put out on different labels, Siesta.
Hmm.
Why did you feel the need, like, to have your own record label?
Well, at the time, I was part of a label called Shaboom out of Blackpool as well, with Dick Johnson and Ben, who went on to be Paper Recordings, and Mark Bell. It was a good outlet for us to release all our stuff. I brought a lot of like Onions, Joski, H Foundation, a lot of people into the loop with that. And that label's still going, but I want to do some my own imprint where, I could put out records by like Rob Mello or, um, various people. Like now we're working on a record with Radio Slave, and just, I really wanted to kind of put the message with music across my way and not feel like it was a pressure to put out bangers or, big records every time. But, it's like a cult thing. Usually when I put a record out, it takes 8 months and then it becomes big. Then we start selling. It takes a while. Like someone will play it, someone on a bigger DJ will drop it in the middle of a set. Like hearing Loco Dice drop one of my records that wasn't doing anything, then all of a sudden it's licensed to Defected and all these other things. It's kind of a great feeling as well, and being able to help young artists out that may not get the leg up because right now everything's, to me it seems with labels they're kind of like, we'll put our friends' music out, and if you're making noise we'll put you out type of thing, where I really just wanted to be about music and what we're doing and portraying and putting out there into the world, and a lot of people probably won't even get it or even listen to it, or probably don't even know there's a label that's been going 25 years, But with vinyl, it was great. Like the first record we did was a hand stamp that said Sublevel, no names. We gave ourselves no credit on it, and sold like 15,000 copies. No one knew who it was. So when Jockey Slut finally did the interview, and it turned out that it was myself and Lilia, people just went, "What? Like why wouldn't you put your name on such a big record?" And that was like the experiment. Think people would consider that counterproductive because, mate, you could have just blown yourself up with that record and da da da. But it kind of put a respect factor into it, and people still pick up that record. We still sell that on Bandcamp like weekly. There's still sales going with that record and other early stuff like that.
What do you look for in an artist for the label?
Oof, good question, because I'm picking up stuff that's like different styles now as well, like all over the shop. But something with a vibe that has some sort of message to it that also, I have to listen to it 100 times and not be like, oh, I'm sick of this. It's got to be something you can always come back to, and something that's kind of saying something, whether it's through music, vocals, or what have you. And, we've been pretty fortunate so far, with what we're doing.
Yeah, again, I saw Lauren Garnier on Instagram, and he has a lot to say about
Yeah, of
what's going on
course.
in the
Of
music
course.
industry. And you listen when Lauren talks, you listen.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
I love the man. He's so smart, but he's so in love with electronic music.
Oh, yeah.
And he was just saying, like, stop making records for other people's labels. Make a
Yeah.
record for yourself.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
not not try to be an identity for, F Communication or for Siesta, for
Yeah.
Sublevel, for, so many.
Yeah.
Do it for yourself.
Yeah.
And I think there's too many people out there making tracks going, I want this track to go on this label. And then when the label
Yeah.
goes, nah, they're so like disheartened by it.
Yeah. Yeah.
What what advice do you have for upcoming producers?
Well, just keep going at it. And if you can do it yourself and get it, it's a lot of work if you're doing it yourself. I have a label manager now because it's just too much for me personally, but get it out there. Do what you can. Keep putting music out there. Sometimes you don't have to put everything you make out there because some of it may not be up to scratch. And right now we get like you said, 10 seconds, which is kind of crazy because my records don't take off in 10 seconds. You have to listen to them. I did a record with Hippie from H Foundation, sent it to a few labels I thought would love it, and they were like, nope. And we put it out, and it did great. We blew up. Same thing with this record with Colette and Pete Moss. We sent to a big house label. I thought, oh, let me give them the leg up, for their song. And they said no, and then it hit #1 on Beatport, and we're still selling it. So it's up to the person making the record. I think they have to decide how much work they really want to put in, and that kind of separates you from those who aren't really in it. They're just trying to get a leg up. It is a lot of work, and if you're going to make records and put them out yourself, you got to get used to like doing a lot of legwork. And it's hard for new labels too. People aren't really listening, unless you get one of the top 10 DJs in the world to do a remix and you pay them an exorbitant amount of money to do so. I tell a lot of DJs, I would hate to be coming into this now. Coming into it in '86 was a whole different game. But now it's so saturated with people, using sample kits for every record and stuff. And, you know, it's really a hard one to answer,
Well, I mean, there's so much to take in nowadays because not only do you have to be a DJ or producer, you have to kind of be a social media content manager as well.
Yeah.
A lot of the older DJs are just going, why do I need to do this? But they're all hiring these content managers just to get something out. I talked with Vince Watson this morning.
No, nice.
No, another one, just an amazing person, an amazing producer, kind of said the same thing. It's just, the older DJs, it's just you were booked because we know how you play.
Yeah.
Old people are booking people because of their social media following.
Yeah.
And that's just wrong,
Yeah. It shows.
Oh yeah. 100% it shows. It's just it's tough when you're being booked for how many followers you have. It's not right. But again, if people don't speak up, then nothing will change.
Yeah, it's a catch-22. Also, with the label, we started doing our own events, and that kind of took me out of the global DJ thing for a while because they're going really good, and we started doing them on a monthly, and I was able to bring in like Secret Sundays, who no one ever heard of in America, and have a Mr. V, a Brothers Vibe, Josh Wink, Craig Richards come out multiple times and, really blow it up, H Foundation, whoever. We had tons of guests through the years, and it was kind of like, oh, I want to hear these people. And then the crowd eventually was like, okay, we trust you, whatever you bring, whether we heard of them or not. And we had some very monumental parties. I've cut back since then. I'm doing smaller parties now, which have been good. And the vibe's good. And that's, to me, is the most important thing, keep the vibe going and keeping it positive and keep people dancing. And, without them, we're not here. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. And you don't see a lot of cameras and people standing around just waiting for the breakdown at our events, obviously. And that's kind of a refreshing thing. And the younger people are coming as well. It's a mixture, which is good. Now the parents are bringing their nephews and nieces, and they're all into it, and it's like a family outing now, which is kind of insane to me, but great at the same time because the next generation's getting brought in the right way.
I'm loving more of these day events.
Yeah,
So you
yeah,
can be home by 10, 11 o'clock at night.
yeah,
I'll take that every day of the week.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
so you can get up the next day and feel refreshed and stuff. But yeah,
Oh yeah,
I, we've got to create our own scene again. That's the thing.
yeah.
We can't sit here and keep going on about like how good the
Old days.
old
Yeah,
days were. You can't keep moaning and groaning about it. I don't
no.
like the phone thing. Again, it takes the soul. I get taking a quick video. I get taking, some pictures.
Yeah,
And when you've got some people who are like 6'4" in front of you, who are like for 2 hours of the person
yeah.
you get, come on, like put it away. Like,
Hang it up.
I mean, you're obviously. I
Yeah,
mean, if everybody did that, I mean, like it's all going to go on YouTube anyway. So, if you miss something at the night, you can get on YouTube and you can watch somebody else's. But, just put your phones down. You don't
yeah,
need your phone, but it's just we've got to just be positive with what's going on.
yeah,
You know, because there's a lot of good young DJs coming up that have the
yeah,
spirit of
yeah,
the old school DJs.
yeah. And they're almost obsessed with how things were done back in the day. I know a lot of young kids coming out there asking like, well, how was it with, this or vinyl or people or, playing 12 hours or whatever, they're just so enamored with it. Like, oh my God, tell me, I want to know. And there's a group of DJs trying to emulate that as well, which is, good, but I'm always like, let's make the good new days happen now, bringing people into it, take the vibe and put the modern twist on it and bring people forward, it can be done. It's being done, for everything you see a big story or event, there's some underground somewhere that's doing really well as well. That just not all over social media. Like our people, I would think, are less about posting everywhere about everything. They're the ones that go and buy the tickets and show up. They don't need to broadcast what they're doing.
Yeah.
So that gives the almost like a sense of, oh, no one's going to your shows because it's not all over social media. But yeah, they are, and it's packed. And I've done a lot of good events this last year that have been just packed, but not all over Instagram or Facebook or what have you.
Yeah, just word of mouth, and,
Yeah,
and that's
yeah.
how it should be. I wanted to ask you because I couldn't have you on without not asking you about United DJs of America,
Oh
the West
wow.
Coast edition, because that obviously catapulted you as well. And then
Yeah,
that was 95, and then 97, you're playing the Essential Mix, Pete Tong.
yeah, yeah. I did it twice. I couldn't believe it. Twice on Central Mix. For someone that does not have a number one record out or part of a super group or something, that was like, wow, okay, thank you, Pete. And he's always been a champion for our records. Yeah, United DJs was just a concept by Mixmag here in the US. So they did the first one. Believe it was Frankie and Dave Morales. It did pretty good. And then by the time it got to my turn, I was really kind of into Italian tribal stuff, as you could tell on that mix. Um, because no one was playing it in the States and very little in England. I'd go there with these records from JT Vanilli or Mr. Marvin, and people were just like, "What is this? This is mental," because they got the balance right between trippy and tribal and vocals and everything. Yeah, that CD did amazing, and after that was the Moonshine that did really great, and then Fabric and Classic coming out within each other, a year of each other. But that one kind of catapulted everything. And to me, going to Ibiza and seeing the European version of it, the green CD. I was like, whoa, they have this out in Europe now, and like on their own brand. It wasn't the American CD; it was the European version. I'm like, oh my god, taking pictures with it and buying one just so I could have the European version as well. Back then, I think that was right before Journeys by DJ and all that had started, or maybe they had just been doing a few things. So it wasn't really a thing to have DJ mix CDs out there. It wasn't like everyone and their mother had one out at that time. But yeah, pretty phenomenal experience choosing the records. It was like I get to play whatever I want, and these are the records I want to play. And I just did a record with Dub Tribe that got on there, and some friends of mine from Glendale, Sweet Drop. I'm like, oh, I love this record. I'm going to put this on there. And it just kind of helped a lot of people get a leg up, Seven Fisher, all these people, and I thought, yeah, I think that's what the CD should be, exposing people, where the Moonshine was Sneak, Seven Fisher, DJ Garth, Daft Punk, even, and a lot of those people got exposure through that, and they all ended up blowing up. So that's how you feel your job is done when you're presenting a CD. If actually some of these artists actually get a leg up out of it.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, it shouldn't really be a competition.
No.
It should be like helping one another, not
Yeah.
not to the point where it's like you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours kind of.
No.
It's just helping people. That's
Yeah.
that's what the scene first started on.
Yeah.
Just if you're playing a warehouse party and like a mixer is broke, you could call another rave
Yeah.
like company.
Yeah.
They'd bring a mixer down for you.
Yeah.
That's what it was all about, brothers and sisters, just and I hope it gets back to that. I know there's little pockets over here.
Yeah.
The underground is still underground. I love to see that. Then you've got the EDM festivals and the branding, and I stay far away from that. It's just not for me. I'm not saying don't go. I'm just saying it's just not for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just don't feel right there. But yeah, any upcoming releases for yourself and for Sublevel?
The next two, we signed a local group from San Francisco called Slope 114. They've been at it for a long time. They do have the respect of like Charles Webster and others, really love their music, but they're really underground. So Radio Slave, turns out he's a huge fan. So I had him remix that. And I did a mix of that. And then after that, I did a record called LOVE back in the early 90s for a label called Moonshine. So we revamped that. D. Jules is remixing it. Harry Romero and I did a remix as well. And then I have my own remix. So those are the next two. And then I'm looking at doing a compilation and putting out a lot of unknown artists, and maybe some you haven't heard from in a minute as well. So that's what's going on the label front.
Oh, nice. Well, I look forward to hearing that, and
Yeah.
a lot of people will. So, last question for you, Doc. I in the beginning we're talking. I love my trainers. What is it with Stussy?
So the Stussy thing, it turned out I knew one of the lead designers since the 90s, since the rave scene. And he would always tell me, come by my work, never say what it was. And then gave me the address. I went down there, turned out to be Stussy. And we did 9 collaborations with them, actually. We did record boxes. We done the last t-shirt sold out like in a day, 500 gone. And we sold a lot of those to England, actually. So, I would go to the warehouse and they would just fill up a suitcase and I'd take whatever I want. And, I really liked the styles at that time they were putting out as well. They were more streetwear, more geared towards hip hop and surf and skater and, counterculture stuff, which I was like really into. And, I've always supported them since then. And now there's a DJ, Chris Stussy. So maybe we'll do our Stussy back to back at some point.
Yeah, you never know. You never know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you, because I'm based out of Austin, which you've played in
okay.
many times.
Great city.
Yeah. I mean, you used to come and play the Austin Music Hall quite a bit. So yeah. And any gigs on this side?
I'm doing Silo in December with
Oh,
Josh Wink and
nice.
DJ Sneak. Nothing for Austin. I think they're talking. Is it Kingdom out
Yeah.
there? Yeah, I believe there's talks going on with them right now. Just working on the East Coast and getting back into Europe, going to ADE for opening of a new club actually, which should be really good over there. And working on South America. I've got Ecuador coming up. We're doing this cruise called Friendship, which is always pretty wild. Last time was Scream, myself,
Oh,
Boys Noise, and Tartaria. It was just a great Von Van Helden. It was just a great mix of music and people, and that's always a good one, you know. Yeah,
have you played Silo before?
I have not.
It is amazing. The sound
Oh,
of it
great,
is absolutely amazing.
great.
I saw Sasha Digweed there. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah, they've got it spot on. Like for a
yeah,
warehouse,
yeah,
it's just pristine. Not too much on the visuals, on
yeah,
the lighting. It's about the music. So I think you'll love that. And good God, Josh Wink and Sneak on the same
yeah,
bill. And when
yeah.
was that? December?
December 19th, I believe. Friday, December. I think it's 19th. Anyway, around that day.
I actually come up for that.
Yeah, you should. I'll sort you out, obviously. Bring your best
I
pair of
mean,
Adidas's.
oh man, no, I'd have to bring me worst because I don't want to mess them up.
Yeah, there you go.
I'll bring a couple of pairs just in case, like one in my backpack, just in case
Yeah,
they
yeah.
get.
I guess we should tell my football story before this is over. So,
Yeah. Please do.
I was doing the red at Cream. They were doing all my bookings, and we had been there when Manchester and Liverpool played in the finals. And Liverpool lost a heartbreaker in that one. And I remember being at the club, and it just felt like the most dismal, depressing scene I've ever been to. I thought I was going to a funeral, to be honest. And that's when it hit me how serious football is to people in England. I thought, like, okay, it's a good excuse, go out, get a few beers, drink whatever, and support your city. But that's when I realized how hard people really took the loss there. And I felt bad for them as well. I was getting depressed over it, and I'm not even because I remember some of these players would come in the booth at Cream, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, that's so and so the forward," and I'm like, I didn't know who any of these guys were. They were just in regular clothes, and people were just like rock star status, for them. So I'm like, okay, they're fanatical about this. We don't have a sport we're that fanatical about in the U.S., but I can see that, you know.
Yeah, I mean, for me, thank God Liverpool are in an age where we're winning
Yeah.
trophies again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not 16 anymore. Where like
Yeah.
if we lost, I'd throw the TV out the window. You know, I'm more mature now, but I don't go down the pub as much. So I watch
Yeah.
me girls, and if we do lose, it's back to being a dad.
Yeah.
Like
Exactly.
focus is like on them. So the swear words are very non-existent anymore.
Yeah.
So that kind of is nice because I don't want my girls to
Yeah.
say some of the words I used to say, but
Yeah.
I'd be in a lot of trouble by my wife if
Yeah,
they.
you guys invented England invented the cussing Bible, I call it.
Oh
I've
yes.
heard phrases I've never heard anywhere else in the world. I'm like, oh my God.
But they mean two meanings as well. That's the
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Like the C word
yeah,
could mean, mate, how do you
yeah.
mate? Or it could mean like I'm gonna
I'm
punch you.
about to kick your head in. Yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah.
sometimes you don't know which one it is. So you're just kind of like,
Mhm.
you want a hug or do I put my fists up? Like,
Yeah, exactly.
no,
Yeah,
we're a bunch of crazy people on an island that
yeah.
yeah,
Well, that's what I tell people. England's smaller than California. You gotta put it in perspective. For them, I think the word got around quite quickly when songs came out. And here, this country's so big, you'd be surprised some of the music that's kind of big in certain places still. I'm just like, really? That's so 98, like electro house, really? Like, oh, wow, okay, you know, what have you.
yeah. We
But
well we we still love the classics.
yeah, of course.
As long as it's not like, where you go two cheese and play like nothing but classics. If you throw in, a few classics, like you'll get a massive
Of course.
back home. But mate,
Even, yeah.
It's been an absolute pleasure. It really has. Like,
Uh,
when I've been doing this for a year, and you know how many times I've messaged you, to
yeah.
so but I
Yeah.
understand, you're a busy man, but for you to say yes to come on here, you don't
Oh,
know
thank
how
you.
much it means to me.
Thanks.
And my mates will be, well chuffed for me, because
Nice.
they know how much like house music means to me. I love music that has soul in it. It has to have,
Yeah.
without soul,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
really doesn't get played,
Yeah, exactly.
in my house. And
Yeah.
it's all genres of music. It's got
Of
to,
course. Yeah.
and your music has moved me. Your DJ sets have moved me. So
Oh,
all I can say is, like, thank you so much, mate.
right. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm glad we finally got to make it happen. It took like 6 months, but we're here.
Yeah, you know what? I'd rather it take 6 months and we're here than not to not happen at all. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's it's just, and an hour goes by so quickly when you talk about things that you're passionate about.
Of course.
So that's the thing. But please, everyone, please like and subscribe, put your notifications on. But most importantly, please go to Doc Martin, sublevel.bandcamp.com. As I always say, that's where the money should be going, is the artist.
Yeah.
100% they should get, but we all know, it doesn't happen like that. But they most of the money on Bandcamp, which,
Yeah.
is the go-to for where I get my music. But, search out new artists, but also go and search out artists from 30 years ago. You will find some gems in there. So go down that
Yeah.
rabbit hole. Don't be afraid to spend a couple of hours on Bandcamp or wherever you find your music. So yeah, and like I always leave you, take care of one another. We live in a crazy world. Say to your family you love them, to your mates, a stranger on the street, just say hello. It might
Yeah.
make a day better. Just be better human beings. That's all I can say. Because
Yep.
right now you turn the news on and it's just bad news after bad news. But let's come together. And for me, music helps.
Yeah.
I know some people say that's cheesy, but it does help. When you go to a festival, you go to a club, you see people just having fun, and that's what
Yeah.
it's about.
Yeah. Yeah.
But thank you again, everyone. Please stay safe, and we'll see you next time.